Welcome to Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff. This is the place to come for news you can use to get things done. Everybody knows that too much stuff is clutter, and cleaning it makes you neater and tidier. To us, it is a life management tool that helps you navigate your next steps. This is what my book, Lighten Up, Free Yourself from Clutter, is all about. As baby boomers, we have a lot in front of us that is confounding and confronting, so we sweep things under the carpet and put them off another day or forever. That is clutter because it keeps us stuck, and my new book addresses all of that. So we're going to bring experts, authors, and authorities here to talk with us about health, relationships, technology, finance, housing. What are you going to do next in life? Passing down your life stories, and even the challenges of making final arrangements. Here we aim to learn, open new possibilities, choose, take action, and create a legacy, not a mess. So let's get started. One of the big things you may be wondering about is what to do next in life after retirement. As far as we can tell, folks choose to spend their time in any number of different ways, and volunteering to make a difference with others is one of them. That's what we're going to talk about today, volunteering. Our guest is Steve Thaxton. He's joining us from downtown Chicago, where he's the executive director of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, otherwise known as OLLI. He's going to fill us in on all that OLLI has to offer. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Michelle.
Can you tell us what the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute is?
Well, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute is really 125 separate institutes all across the country. They're all affiliated with universities and colleges, and beyond that 125, they service about 275 towns and cities because many universities have locations in multiple places within their state or their market. Each of these institutes is an independent program that provides learning, social, volunteer opportunities for folks who are over the age of 50, largely in retirement, but in this modern age, there are a lot of us that are working part-time in retirement as well. So it's certainly not just relegated to those that are fully retired.
Who founded the Osher Lifelong Institute? Osher, I guess. Tell us about him.
Yes, in fact, there is a man. There is. Bernard Osher is the organizer and funder of this network of lifelong learning institutes, often known as LLIs, and thereby our acronym is OLLI, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. Mr. Osher was a successful banker and businessman in the San Francisco Bay Area. He grew up in the state of Maine and has great affinity for Maine even at this point in his life. Mr. Osher is 96 years old, and he is the poster child of a lifelong learner, learning new things, curious about the world, traveling, doing things deeply into his life. And I would say it's keeping him young and active and vital. He started funding these institutes with the formation of his foundation, and he decided that, hey, this could be a national network. And he set about to build a network that would include every single state. It is complete at this point with 125. His endowment gifts give kind of a base funding in using their interest at the universities and colleges to be able to push these programs into larger membership growth and more success. But the lion's share of the work is happening on the local level. And each of the Osher Institutes, it's up to them to be creative and entrepreneurial and build a strong program to attract more and more people who are interested in being involved.
So from what I understand, that there's kind of two ways in which you can participate at Osher. One is be a learner. There's tons and tons of classes that you can find, areas of interest, and get engaged in becoming a learner there. And there's a way to become a volunteer. Now, this whole institute is from the heart. You know, Mr. Osher, from what I understand, is one of the leading philanthropists in the world. So it comes from, you know, a really heartfelt place to give back. And that's kind of built in, from what I understand, to the OLLI structure. Can you tell us the volunteer opportunities at OLLI?
Yeah, one of the stipulations that Mr. Osher built into the model was that each institute would have significant opportunities for volunteer engagement. And so that's something that happens at each of the 125 institutes. Some of the institutes have literally hundreds of volunteers who are working, and some more in the dozens. But every one of them has opportunity for volunteerism in a variety of different roles. And if you think about Osher Institutes as kind of miniature colleges, they're kind of like miniature liberal arts colleges covering a huge variety of activities and subjects, courses, events, opportunities to engage. It takes a lot of people to be able to add expertise to all the areas that we cover. So you've got folks that are involved in programming and governance of their Osher Institute. You've got people who are doing really the grassroots committee work and marketing and in fundraising. It might be as simple as helping at an event in setup, or it might be in building a strategic plan for the long-term growth of the Institute. And then probably the single biggest area of volunteering is a tremendous amount of people who will volunteer their teaching abilities. That generally is coming from people with teaching backgrounds, emeritus faculty or lifelong educators in the K-12 system. But it's also people who have just become experts in their own interests, and they bring that to their Osher Institute. I can tell you there are a lot of amateur historians who have become experts in their areas who are leading courses, some of them in lived history. There are a bunch of folks who served in World War II and in Vietnam who are teaching very successfully about those wars.
Amazing. What draws people to become an OLLI volunteer? And do they have to train and do any special kind of training to be involved as a volunteer?
It does vary between the various Osher Institutes. All of them have some level of training. But I would say what attracts people to it is that they become engaged in a community. This isn't just a fee-for-service kind of arrangement. When you become a member of Osher, you are building a network of friends from the very first day that you show up. And slowly but surely, you start to realize, hey, I have something to contribute that goes beyond me just coming and sitting in a class. And you find your niche. I would say some OLLIs are really good at figuring out what your niche will be, and they'll recruit you into a role. If they find out that you have a special skill, they are wise to come at you and say, hey, you have a marketing background, and gosh, we have needs in marketing, or any number of other things. But I think that there are easy ways in, and many of the volunteers within Osher Institutes have done a variety of roles over the years. They worked on a committee or they did some governance, but then they decided that they wanted to do something in maybe customer outreach or work on a speakers bureau or any number of other kinds of things. It's amazing at the variety of roles that are open in volunteers.
How many volunteers would you say you have in the network of the OLLI programs?
Our latest number is just under 20,000 folks who are in all these variety of roles. And there are some OLLIs that, and I think I've told you this before, Michelle, that have hundreds of folks who are in there because they've got very large memberships. So there's a lot of work to be done. Many hands make light work, and some have 300 and 400 volunteers on their roles. And then the smaller OLLIs, it may be dozens, but nonetheless, there's an opportunity for anybody that wants to get involved.
Is there an advantage to them in terms of taking classes? Do you get any credits toward classes for your volunteer efforts?
Some OLLIs will either have a partial tuition gift or they'll comp a membership for active teachers. Some OLLIs don't do that, but they pay an honorarium, typically a small honorarium to instructors. But for the most part, the heavy lifting is done by a huge group of volunteers. Staffs are usually 2 to maybe 6 total university staff working at an OLLI on average. And then it becomes member driven and member directed too.
How many hours a week when you sign on to be a volunteer, do you commit to a certain number of hours a week or a year? How does that work?
It kind of depends on what your role is. There are some OLLIs that have small groups and they'll trade off and they'll work together to be able to take care of the needs. So I'll use an example. At Penn State University in their York campus, they have a speakers bureau. And that speakers bureau is a group of maybe half a dozen to 10 folks who become very well adept at going out and talking about OLLI with local groups. They may be going to service clubs, Kiwanis, Elks, other groups, just to give an orientation.
That's a good idea.
It is a good idea. And they trade off. So gosh, if Jane is going to be out traveling or Bill's having a knee replaced, it's not as if the whole weight of this committee is on 1 or 2 people. They share that. And so the hours may really vary. But then if you're an instructor, you're signing up for the duration of that term. It might be 4, 6, 10, 12 class sessions. And so those obviously need to be covered along with the prep. And then some people are working on one-time only kind of ad hoc work. Hey, we've got a 20th anniversary for our OLLI. And so we've got a group and they work very diligently on it. And then the event is over.
So it can be flexible. In other words, you can find an interest that you want to contribute or a talent that you have that you can boost a program. Then there's a place for you at OLLI. How do you find out about volunteering?
Well, it's one of the things that most OLLIs talk about immediately as you enter into membership, because they're smart. They figure as you're coming in, they can recruit you probably easier at that point than any other. Yeah. And they can also assess what you bring to the party, your special skills and what might work best. But it's wise for people to get into membership, experience it, kind of get a sense of what this is all about, and then look for things that they're interested in. They may find things, a special interest group as an example. There's small groups that form at most OLLIs, and they may be interested in helping with that group. There may be other sideline community service sorts of things. Many OLLIs have mentoring groups, and they work with graduate students or undergraduates in getting together in kind of an intergenerational way.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. That's really great. I think the intergenerational aspects of where you live and what you're active in is a growing trend and a growing desire among both the young people and retirees or soon-to-be retirees. So that's a great opportunity. Now, we focused on volunteering here on this program about the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, but I'd like to dedicate a few minutes to explaining what the Lifelong Learning Institute actually is centered on, which is the learning aspect of it. How do you become a member of? Do you become a member of the institute and take classes? Can you explain how learners can get involved, not only volunteers?
Well, the first thing that I'd mention is while we have 125 of these LLIs in the Osher network, there are many others at universities and colleges that are not affiliated with the Osher network. So if there doesn't happen to be an Osher near you, you should talk to some folks within the university or college that's near to you to see if they have an LLI, Lifelong Learning Institute, that is serving people over the age of 50. We have counted about 425 of these. So our group is 125 as a network, but there's another 300 out there across the United States that you can become involved in. But if you're looking for an Osher near you, you can go to our website, osher.net. That's OSHER.net. And at the top of our landing page, you'll see a little line that says, find an Osher Institute near you. If you click on that, a map will open up and you'll see there's the United States, which with a lot of little green pins. You find the one that's the closest to you, and then you can connect with that local institute. And from there, you can read about that institute, what their institute pricing is. Every one of them is a little bit different. You can figure out how and when you might want to enter into membership. You can see dates for their various terms or semesters. And typically, you can even look at the course listings in there, and you'll see a catalog of all the variety of courses that you might be interested in taking.
And what kind of courses might I find?
Man, think back to when you were in college and all those electives that you were considering taking, but gosh, you didn't have time. There's everything. Arts, sciences, current events, literature. There's a lot of things that are very academic, but there's as many that are experiential and hobby oriented. So if you want to learn how to play bridge, you're probably going to find a class on that or something akin to it. Or if you're interested in history, it might be the history of the Reformation, it might be the history of World War II, or it might be the history of punk music. You'll see pretty much everything.
That sounds, it sounds like fun, actually. Fun to learn. And fun, and fun to volunteer. And I don't think that there's a study out there that doesn't tell you continuing to keep your mind sharp and be socially connected is good for you in every which way you can think of as you age. So check it out. If you're edging toward retirement or the workaday world is now in your rearview mirror, you may want to consider volunteering as a rich and rewarding way to spend your time. You can stand to get back as much as you give. So the Osher Lifelong Institutes are up and running in 125 different cities in all 50 states in the District of Columbia, as well as online, and it's mostly volunteer. So if you have a big heart and you have talents to offer, then this is a place where you can make a difference and learn at the same time. If you want to find out more about it, go to their website for the OLLI closest to you. If volunteering is in the area of adult education is something that lights you up, OLLI is for you. So check at your local college or university and see if a similar program is available where you can get involved. Thanks for being here, Steve. I appreciate it.
Michelle, thank you.
Well, that's all we have time for today. So let's wrap things up with a request that you go to our website, www.decluttering55plus.com, and click on the Let's Connect button. Share your thoughts, insights, and tell us the lessons you've learned. If you're facing challenges or celebrating triumphs on your decluttering journey, we want to hear from you. Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know you're part of our community by rating and reviewing us from wherever you're listening from today. And don't forget, invite your friends and family, young and old, to tune in too. Let's include them in the conversation. The more, the merrier. Thanks for being with us today. And until next time, this is Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff, wishing you a clutter-free day.